During this Adobe Flash tutorial video, you're going to learn how to create a photo gallery. And this is actually very easy to do. So we've already brought in all of our pictures into each of the different layers. And we're going to actually work backwards on these. So we're going to start off with picture 5 and then work our way down to pictures 1. So make sure that in your layers that you do select picture 5 first. And then what you need to do is decide the timeline. For this particular activity, we're going to set each of our pictures to be visible for 30 frames per second. Now you may decide that that is not long enough. You can adjust it and make it longer, like 40 or 50 frames per second, or you can make it shorter, depending on your personal preference. But we're going to do 30 frames per second. So make sure that down here at the bottom, if you don't see 30 frames per second, which you should have set when you first created your new document. But if you don't see that, you can simply come down here and click in here and then be able to type 30 and then hit enter and it'll adjust the frames per second to 30. Once you have that ready to go, every time you actually set down a keyframe, it would automatically default to 30 frames per second. Now we're going to kind of cheat in a sense that we will select frame 30 and then drop in our keyframe that way, which is a very, very simple, easy way to then set up a photo gallery. So what we're going to do for pick number 5, we've already selected layer pick 5. I'm going to come down here and I'm simply going to select frame 30 on layer pick 5. Okay, so that's all I've done so far. From here, all I have to do is come up to the top menu and select Insert, then Timeline, and we're looking for Keyframe. Okay, so Insert, Timeline, and Keyframe. When I select Keyframe here, it's going to automatically create a timeline for when this image is going to appear in my timeline. So you can see it's going to appear for 30 frames within my timeline. And after that, you no longer see that particular image. Okay, but that's all we have to do here. We want it visible for 30 frames. Now we go to, on our layers, we go to pick 4. Okay, so now we're on this layer. And here what we want is for this image to then appear after we see the first picture, which is picture 5. And all we have to do really is bring it over. Since we're doing 30 frames per second, we select frame 60. Okay, so all you have to do is come down to the layer and select frame 60. And the steps are going to be the same. We're going to come up to Insert, Timeline, and then Keyframe. And you'll notice that now, since this first picture on pick 5 layer is no longer visible after frame 30, then we have 30 frames where our second picture there becomes visible. So what we're doing is just extending the amount of frames that the picture below it becomes available. Okay, so let's go down to the next one, and because we're going in sets of 30 frames per second, then we've done 30, 60, so next we're going to do 90. So I'm just simply going to select frame 90. Again, the steps are the same: Insert, Timeline, Keyframe. And you can see that it now pulls up pick 3 all the way through frame 90. So as my timeline here moves between them, you're going to see that it's just going to cycle right through my photos and allow the rest of them to become visible. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here with the last 2. So I'm going to go to pick 2 layer here, and I have to scroll over down here at the bottom to be able to get then to frame number, we have to go all the way to frame 120, and then go ahead and insert your keyframe. And then the last one is going to go all the way over to frame 150. So I'm going to go ahead and select 150, and again the steps are the same: Insert, Timeline, Keyframe, and there you go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring this back over to the beginning, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the play button down here at the bottom so we can go ahead and take a quick look. Make sure that it's cycled through all of my pictures as was intended. There you go. That's how easy it is to set up a photo gallery with simple placing each picture on a layer and extending the visibility of when that picture is available. So we just added frames, and then by simply coming up to your top menu here and going to Insert, Timeline, Keyframe. And that is how we were able to set up this gallery.